This is Ron Caronian with Comic Privy. Here I have
LeVar,
Terry,
and they're showcasing their new book, Entity. And quite frankly, I'm a little excited to meet these guys. A little nervous here today. Seeing that these guys are definitely going places. I mean, I've seen them on Facebook. I've seen them with schools, and I see you guys have been doing a little traveling, promoting the book, and I'm pretty big on that. A few questions I want to go ahead and explain to the fans, as far as, or project to the fans. How do you guys initially get started in the comic industry?
Initially, I met Terry some time ago, like what, maybe a year or 2 years ago?
about 2 years ago.
And he has a creative mind. He used to do screenwriting. Tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, tell me a little about that.
My origins really, I used to love writing, just from high school all the way up to college. Mainly I used to do short stories and a little bit of screenwriting, dabbled in that. When I approached LeVar with some of my story ideas, he was very interested in them. And he kind of gave me the idea of, maybe I can turn some of these stories into comic books.
Okay.
I generally didn't kind of follow with that. I'm so rooted in how I do my short stories and how I do my screenwriting and such. But when he kind of showed me the potential I could come out making these stories into comic books, I went with it and got it to FacePalm.
Yeah, I noticed that too. As far as even like comic books, like a lot of Hollywood, they're going after a lot of comic books. Right. It's that Hollywood themselves, they're going after things that they know has a fan base and more success. Being that the economy is what it is, nobody wants to take a risk on something that,
And then with comic books, I mean, back when I was young, I never really had the opportunity actually to read comic books. My mother was like, it's not a necessity. So
you're like me then. Same thing with me.
So actually, as I grew up, I kind of fell out of it. I didn't remember to pick it back up again. So I just, became an adult, did the things I was supposed to do. And then I got into comics again. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna go to a con. I went to a couple cons. I was like, this is beautiful. I loved everything, right? So then I was like, I went to a couple of publishers and I said, how did you get started? What steps did you take? And I started talking to a lot of different people. And they gave me all the feedback, and I took my time, I really did my homework, and I said, I would like to start something like this too. I want to grow something from the ground up and build it and make it wonderful. So I said, I do want to have a good team. And I remember I talked with him, with Terry. So then I said, let me see if I can get him back. Because actually you were in Orlando at the time.
You mean like with MegaCon?
No, he was just living in Orlando.
You were living in Orlando, oh.
So I always had to see if I can get him back down here one day, but he was like, things are going good up there. I'm like, okay, fine. So if anything happens or you come back down, please contact me. I want to talk to you about a proposition. So when he came back down, everything was just falling into
coincidentally, I just happened to be heading down back to West Palm, and I mean, it just kind of worked out.
Worked out perfectly, yeah, perfect timing and everything. So I said, I want to start a company up, blah blah blah. I told him the whole thing. He was all excited about it. I said, let's push it. So I believe technically, the company just started to move. It was around in April, and then from there we went to the first Florida SuperCon where Mike was at, and we introduced my name was his daughter, which was with Lazlo at the time, and then from there we had to revamp everything, rebuild everything with the structure, and then from August we actually launched our main company as a LLC license, and then we started going to the schools, and then we went to the school board of Palm Beach County, and I had a huge interview with them, and they don't like comic books, they like educational books, for the kids to learn. And our books are not, we're going to be so comic books, we're not having the whole lesson plan at the back, so that's what they wanted, and I'm like, we don't have that, and that's why Marvel couldn't get in there, and all the other places couldn't get in there. So I talked and spoke and did my
negotiation
skills, and we landed the deal. So now we actually have that rights to go to the schools and the principals and getting contracts and work with them, and it's been a great deal.
Let me ask you a question. Why you decided on the name FacePalm?
FacePalm, it's just kind of the whole slap in the face, like, oh my gosh, don't.
Oh yeah, like the surprise, right?
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming.
Exactly, and that's the thing about our books too, because all those. That expression it really fits for our style of writing. We have a lot of cliffhangers. We have a lot of a lot of suspense in our book. A lot of emotions too, but it's really action, suspenseful, thriller, sci-fi.
Yeah, we're looking at incorporating a lot of subtle messages into the story as well. Just kind of letting the readers know you have a good story, you have a good time reading it, but at the same time you can take away from the reading experience.
Because I know a lot of, as far as how comics are going, they're moving away from just the art. They're going a lot more into stories.
Yeah.
In the 90s, I'm not sure if you read my blog, but in the 90s, it was big on art. I mean, you could just flip out anything and you could sell a book. Now it's a little different. I mean, how are you guys differentiating yourself from what's out there?
We're gonna probably, like, I believe, combine both of them. We're not gonna just cater one more than the other. We're gonna have, you see in our book that you're gonna see scenes where it's just gonna have like some pictures, just like no dialogue at all. And other pages where you have like a lot of dialogue, but everything's gonna explain itself. It's from dialogue and the artwork. It's gonna be beautiful pictures, colors, environmentals. I mean, everything. It's gonna be all take its place. It's just gonna collide together. It's gonna work.
I think personally, when I write in terms of my writing style, I like being able to let the reader kind of put a puzzle piece together in a way. So while they're reading it, through issue 1, through issue 2, through issue 3, towards the end, they can actually feel like they're putting, the story. They're actually discovering something. So
they're active in the story as well. It's just not just a passive reading, but you're...
Yeah, exactly.
It's more of an interactive experience. So towards the end, they feel like, in a way, you're kind of accomplishing, the
you feel like you feel like you went through it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the writing skills and the style of what we're doing, putting into these books.
Let me ask you a question. As far as promotion, what are some of the techniques you're using as far as additional promotional tactics that you're using to promote your book?
Well, I believe with any kind of successful business, you have to do a lot of promotion, of course. And it is time consuming, but you have to have that time. For myself, I have plenty of time, so I just take that opportunity on myself. I do all the legwork, and I get other people to help me out and everything like that. And we branch from Palm Beach County all the way out to Dade County.
In terms of methods, we're looking at utilizing, of course, we're in technology, time these days where you have Facebook and such. So we of course have our Facebook page that's already up. We're currently working on a website that will be launched by the beginning of next year.
Okay.
In January, hopefully, January, possibly February, and we'll be launching a few ads out, either looking at doing the Facebook ads, or just getting ourselves anywhere that we think that our readers might be.
Yeah, our target readers, correct, and it's between people ages of 13 and up. And we have posters out. We have other flyers in stores, not just in the comic book stores, but like at Hot Topic, for example. We have stores in the mall. We have schools actually have our huge posters up in their schools, so the kids actually can see what's going on. The parents can see what's going on as well. So like everybody's part of it, not just the kids, not just comic book stores. It's all over this.
So you're branching out. You're branching out from just the comics, but into other genres as well.
Put ourselves in places where you might not normally find a comic company. You never know. A passerby might see it. Hey, let me see what this is about. Look up the website, check out the Facebook. Make their own, interpretations of what we're about.
Okay.
At that point, they can, either, invest in, what we have here, and maybe take an interest in the comic, and they'll enjoy the ride, enjoy the experience.
Now, let me ask you a question. As far as the future of comics, you just, really started to blossom with this yourself. You've been in it just recently yourself. What do you see the future of comics being?
I personally think that the future of comics really lies with the independent creators. Granted, we have the past successes of the Marvel universe, the DC universe, but in terms of openness and in terms of creativity, the independent comic book creators really shine there because they're able to provide a new character, vast amount
of selections and offers to give to the new readers of the old generation and new generation. Yeah. So we give that broader aspect of reading.
Exactly.
Instead of having the old brands that's catering to the old generation that just have the same thing, we have there's more and more comic creators that's emerging now, which is great. They're being more aggressive, and we appreciate that. We like that because it gives everybody the opportunity to breathe and to read and get that new creativity out there instead of having the same thing
over and over and over.
Just as you stated before, even with the Hollywood industry, they're taking a better look at even the indie creators, saying that there are good stories, there are a better possibility of franchises with the indie creators. Granted, they'll of course look for that certain amount of success or a certain amount of potential within the story, but the indie creators definitely have that, and you think that
I say by far, I believe in the next maybe couple of years, the majority of our films today that's out there, it's going to be out there too. It's going to be all from independent films, all independent comics.
The legwork's already been done, so why
Exactly.
All right. Well, good pleasure meeting you guys, and I definitely wish you all the success, and hopefully we can do some business in the future as well.